Welcome back. If you just talk like this, each time you have something to say. No,
Okay.
I'm joking. It's, we don't have to do that. We're here with this time with Caroline Westmeyer.
Do I really have to do that?
No, I think we're good just like this. It would be like we're singing a duet. If so, that'd be pretty cool. We're back at the Space City convention with Caroline Westmeyer from
Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, okay.
From here
So
in
you live
town.
here. All right. Man, are you she's the first Huntsville, like, local, right? That we've interviewed? No one else? Oh, I think you're the first one from Huntsville. So we had no idea what to expect coming to Huntsville. I seriously thought, we're in Memphis, so we came through all these little podunk towns on the way, and I was 99% sure we were going to land in one of those towns.
Oh, sure.
But it's actually pretty nice, at least this part of it.
It is nice.
So how long have you been here? Were you born here?
I was born here, yes.
Oh, wow. You don't sound like you're from Alabama. All right. You've been tattooing about 8 years, you
About
said.
8 years, yes.
And we were just talking a little bit before, just to get kind of a feel of what you do. Stylistically, you're kind of illustrative, but a lot of realism, a lot of portraiture, stuff like that. What was your background before you started tattooing, art background?
I mostly did portraits.
Okay. Drawing, painting?
Yeah, I drew. I had hoped to kind of draw like rich people's kids for a living. It didn't really occur to me that I could tattoo.
All right.
So I thought I'd open up a little like kiosk at the mall or something and sketch people's children.
Yeah. Did so you didn't go that route at all? You found tattooing before you got the kiosk?
Yes.
That's probably good.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
More lucrative.
Probably so. Well, although we do, in addition to the we interview a lot of tattooers, but also a lot of painters as well. So we podcasted at the Portrait Society of America's conference down in Atlanta last year. It's amazing how much money these people are making painting rich people's kids.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because when I was little, we got our portrait painted by one of those people, and my parents paid a pretty good amount for it.
Yeah, it's nuts. But I think you went the right direction either way. So describe the tattoo community in Huntsville. Is it pretty robust? Is there a lot going on?
It is. There's a pretty good group of people doing some really good work. A lot of diverse, styles.
How many people are in this town altogether? Do you have any idea? It's not a million.
I have no idea.
Okay. I haven't seen
Couple 100,000.
Okay. So it's a decent size.
Yeah, it's medium size.
Do you have any idea how many shops are here?
I'd say right now there's probably 10 or so, maybe a dozen.
That's a pretty decent amount. That's probably close to what's in Memphis, which has over 1 million people. So that's pretty decent. So as far as transitioning from the kiosk plan to tattooing, how did that take place for you?
Well, I had just dropped out of college and thought it would be cool to answer phones at a tattoo shop because I hated my job at Starbucks.
Yeah.
And I just went into the tattoo shop asking, hey, do you need anyone to answer phones or do anything like that? And they said, no, but if you know anyone who can draw, we're looking for someone to apprentice to learn how to tattoo. And I'm like, well, I just dropped out of art school, so...
Where were you going to art school?
I was at Samford in Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
But this happened in Auburn, Alabama.
Okay. This shop was in Auburn?
Yes.
Okay.
It was the Voodoo Needle.
The Voodoo Needle?
Oh, yes. Owned by Nathan Voodoo. It's his legal name.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's amazing how many people we meet whose last name is the shop name.
I think the shop came first and then the last name.
Right, yeah. I think that's really the way it's going.
But he got it legally changed.
Well, it's commitment. I mean, I guess he could always open a Voodoo something else.
I think he's retired now. He sold the Voodoo Needle and he's living lucratively off the profits.
Oh, wow.
Living the sweet lifestyle somewhere in California.
Man, congratulations, Mr.
I know.
Voodoo. Well played.
Absolutely.
So how long were you down there before you moved?
I was down there maybe a little more than 6 months. Not long at all.
So not a full apprenticeship down there at all?
It was a short apprenticeship.
How was it overall, quality-wise? Do you feel like you got a lot out of it? I don't know if they watched the show or not. Hard to say.
I did learn a lot, and I got a good, foundation and I got the opportunity to learn how to tattoo, which is something that's hard to come by.
Yeah. were they pretty quality tattooers in the shop? Or not really. Seems to be pretty common. Yeah, especially in smaller towns.
Yeah, it was a college town.
Right.
And it was, the shop was geared towards college students.
Right.
Like, here, I think it had like a $30 minimum, here's your butterfly type deal.
Right. So you made the move to get to a better position to improve? Or?
Well, I just ended up moving back home to Huntsville and got a job at a shop here in Huntsville with some talented artists and kind of learned from there and, kept learning and
Yeah. What did you try? Did you move straight into portraiture since that's what you were comfortable drawing, or what was your?
Not straight away, but I guess not. It didn't take too long for me to kind of do my first one and realize, at the time I was the best one in the shop to do them, and so like, hey, you can do these.
Right.
Not that that's really saying much, that
there was no one else really doing that. So
right, exactly.
By default. Yeah.
Right. Not that I was super great at them.
Yeah. What did you, because you felt like you were pretty accomplished at drawing portraits on paper at that point.
Yeah.
What did you find was the toughest, from a technical standpoint or whatever, transition to moving to skin from?
Just learning a new medium, like any other medium of art.
Right.
It's different. You have to learn how to do it.
Yeah. Did you find yourself maybe not pushing contrast hard enough and getting a lot of washy portraits on the front end, or were you doing was it learning to translate the stencil? Was it anything in particular?
I don't know, just lack of technical skill in general.
Well, it looks like now you're doing, just from the little bit that I've seen, you're doing nice black and gray portraiture and color portraiture.
Second best.
Second best today. Who got best?
I don't know. I wasn't in the room when they announced it.
So, do you have a preference for color, black and gray, from portraiture?
For portraits, I think I'm more comfortable with black and gray. Color portraits are just super stressful. You start doing it and you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
The most recent color portrait I did was actually on my husband. It was of David Bowie.
Oh, I saw that one. That's really nice.
You did?
Yeah, I just saw it on your
amazing.
thing. Right. Did you do that after he died? Just recently? It's amazing how many of those portraits showed up like overnight. So doing those color portraits, are you using a lot of just to get a little bit technical? Are you using a lot of like pre-mixed flesh tones? Are you using a limited palette and mixing your own flesh tones? Are you?
I'd say most of the tones that I use aren't really labeled flesh tone. They kind of fall within the peaches and brown categories.
Yeah, you're not buying like the internal like portrait kit or whatever.
I have. I don't really like them.
Oh, really?
No, it seems like they're either a little too pink or a little too orange.
Yeah. A lot of times I just went and I've always worked with a pretty limited palette and just kind of and just learned. I'm a painter as well, so I've learned to mix color fairly well and be consistent with it from a painterly approach, I guess. And I just went out and bought this like zombie kit or what the zombie inks. And I was like, I'm gonna use them all on my first tattoo. I'm just gonna get them all out.
They have some good in that Eternal zombie.
Yeah, the Eternal. Yeah,
they have some good colors in there.
Some of them are really cool, but I put them all in the caps and I couldn't tell what anything actually looked like. I was just like, what the hell? What is it? What is this? What does it even look like? I'm like wiping it on paper towels, trying to tell, and that stuff. I think when you get into a lot of crazy, like you're saying, sometimes they're too orange, sometimes they're too peach, sometimes they're. I don't know what they're gonna look like.
Just like with the zombie tones. I mean, I don't do a lot of zombies, but I use the crap out of those. So I mean, just like with the portraits, I mean, just because they're labeled as such doesn't mean that that's necessarily the best application
so
or
I can
how
tattoo
everyone
things other than
uses
zombies with that. That's cool. That's good. Absolutely. I agree. I just, I was just curious because I see so many people laying out these really extensive palettes of like, a dozen peaches and like 15 olive greens or whatever. And
I'm probably guilty of that.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
Like I look at it and
I'm not sure which one is, and then you only end up using like 3 of them in the actual tattoo. The rest just sit there full.
That's what I feel like would happen with all of mine. So I'm always curious when I look at color portraiture and stuff that I don't do. That's why I asked that. So what about your illustrative work? Where did that kind of come through tattooing, or were you weren't an illustrative drawer at all beforehand?
Not really.
Any influences in particular that took you in that direction? Just like necessity, people wanting that
just
kind of
necessity.
Work? I had another Huntsville question. I'm drawing a blank on it, but so you said right now you're kind of more into doing some of the illustrative stuff.
Yeah. I really wish I could focus more on portraits, but it seems like there's a limited market for that. Not everybody wants a portrait every single day. But if I could do that every day, I would.
You would. You'd stick with that. And then there are people. I guess that maybe that's one of the limits to working in a smaller town, because obviously there are people that do nothing but portraits, but they're in California or whatever, New York, and where the clientele is giant.
Right.
What do you anything in particular that you feel like you're struggling with now, whether it's technical, whether it's drawing, whether it's
everything,
clientele, everything? You struggle with everything all the time? Like, what would an example be?
I don't even know.
I'll tell you one that we've been asking this question at each convention we've done, just a social experiment, I guess, a tattooer experiment. And so I'm going to throw one out that kind of surprised me on the front end because we got this answer over and over. We kept hearing people say, "Oh, I'm struggling to find a style to identify with. I feel like I have to have a style."
Yeah.
Do you feel pressure?
I do, yeah. Because you said yourself, my work is kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I wish that it wasn't so all over the place. I wish I'm trying to zero in on the one thing that I'm good at.
Right.
Because you can't be good at everything. No one is good at everything. You have to find what you are good at.
Yeah. Do you feel like a lot of times people try to identify with that too quickly, too early on, and maybe don't give themselves time to explore? Or do you feel like,
Possibly.
Do you think you did that at all, or not really, because you're kind of trying all kinds of stuff?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just curious. We get that a lot, and like I was saying before we started shooting, a lot of our following is up-and-coming tattooers or people that are trying to get apprenticeships even, and they feel like even building their portfolios, they're like, well, what style do I need to present?
No, I would think at that point that wouldn't be necessary.
Right.
If you're trying to get an apprenticeship. I would just think, it's possible to have your artistic style firmly developed, if you are to that point. Like one of our coworkers, Jason, does American traditional, and a lot of his drawings, he was fresh out of art school when he got his apprenticeship. He went to SCAD in Savannah and good art school. And his drawings were even, they weren't traditional tattoo drawings, but they were that super illustrative style, heavy line work, dot work, simple smooth shading.
Stuff that translated to tattooing.
Stuff, he obviously knew, what he was good at and what he liked to do and had a definite style, but I think a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
And I think, had he not gone through years of art school, that's probably where he found that.
Right. So if you were going to give some advice to someone coming to bring a portfolio to your shop, would you just say pick the things?
I just pick whatever is the best, no matter what the style is. I wouldn't focus on one specific style unless you already are, and then just pick whatever is the best.
Yeah. So you wouldn't even focus on how tattooable you might think it is, because obviously they probably don't even know what tattooable is if they haven't done any tattoos.
Exactly. I think you can teach them what is tattooable.
Right.
But I think just solid art background would be the most important.
Yeah. What about as far as 8 years in? Man, can you guys hear this? They hear it? Everyone hears it. Where do you think, we're trying to identify weaknesses, what do you think your greatest strengths are now? Where do you think how far, if you look back to, say, 5 years ago and look at your work, where do you think that...
I think my shading's a lot smoother.
Yeah.
Line works a fuck of a lot better than it was.
Right.
It was pretty shaky.
Yeah.
Now it's a little.
Yeah. Did you come up using coil machines, or did you start
come up using coil machines. Now I use rotaries for the most part. I still use a coil liner sometimes.
Yeah. I see most people doing that. That's one thing that I think is we interview a lot of kids that have been tattooing 2, 3, 4 years that are
They've never touched a coil.
They've never touched a coil, but it's like you look at the work that they're putting out and you're like, man, maybe I should have never touched a coil.
But I think the next machine that I get is going to be a coil liner. I think I'm over my rotary liner.
Really?
I think I want another coil.
What do you dislike about it?
I don't know. It seems like it just doesn't hit quite as hard as I want it to. Sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that that do that exact thing. They still align with it.
Yeah, you try it out, and then you go back, and then I'm sure you'll go back, and I mean, maybe just use a mix.
Yeah, probably so. Where do you see yourself going from here? You like Huntsville? You want to travel more?
I do like Huntsville. I'm trying to travel more. We're trying to do a few more conventions. Obviously, I just had a baby, so I haven't been doing many conventions the last few years.
Right.
With
Did you do more early on?
I just started doing them, and then I got pregnant, and stepped out of all that for a while. So this year we've got, not counting this one, we've got 3 more that we're going to this year.
Which ones are you doing in case we have?
We're doing Hampton Roads, Virginia, Savannah, and then Virginia Beach.
Okay. And bringing the kids?
No.
Or no?
Staying home with Dad.
So you're doing is your entire shop traveling? Or some?
For some of them, the whole shop. For the Savannah one, only 3 of us are going.
We go to some of these conventions and people are like there, like the husband and wife are there. Maybe they both work at the shop and they're there with like a couple of kids, and the kids hang out in the booth all weekend and draw. Like, man, my kid would never sit there and draw.
Well, mine obviously are too young.
Right. Mine's 5, and I just think like, oh, this would be chaos. Like 45 minutes into this, he'd be like, I'm stuck right here. This is where I have to be. That's not gonna happen. Yeah. But it sounds like a pretty cool idea. Like if you
that would be nice in theory.
If you're like a 15-year-old kid, and you're like, oh yeah, I just grew up at tattoo shows. We just traveled and did nothing but sit around at tattoo conventions. You'd probably be able to draw pretty well, if nothing else.
Probably, yeah. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maybe when they're a little older. I don't think 1 and 4 is like the target age range.
You might be pushing it. Yeah. What? So you're happy in Huntsville outside of the traveling? You think you'll stick around here?
I think it's a nice place to raise a family.
Yeah. What about from your work standpoint? Do you see yourself going in any different direction? Keep pushing?
I would just like to keep improving in the direction that I'm going.
Yeah.
I don't think, it's kind of late in the game to strike out into a completely new direction. Like, I kind of already know what I'm bad at, what I'm better at, and let's just kind of start to focus on the things that I'm better at.
Yeah. I was going to ask earlier before we close up. As far as the clientele here in Huntsville, are you able to establish a consistent clientele?
Yeah, we have a ton of repeat customers. Most of our clientele is the same people.
Okay. And they're getting bigger pieces here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool. If people want to find you to book appointments, what's the best way?
They can look at the Bluerose Tattoo website.
Bluerose Tattoo, what is that?
Shoot me an email. It's thebluerosetattoo.com.
Thebluerosetattoo.com.
Yep.
And your Instagram is?
Caro Tater.
Caro Tater.
Yes.
CARO.
TATER.
TATER. We'll put all that stuff in the show notes for you to check out. She's doing great work. Check it out. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. TattooImprovement.com. Sign up for something. Tweet us or like us. Follow us. Thank you.